Welcome to Clearwater Nature Center. We are located in Costco Regional Park in Clinton, Maryland. When you come inside our center, you will see that we have a large animal exhibit room. And then when you go outside behind the center, you'll be able to see our birds of prey and our butterfly garden. When you come to visit us in the future, you will need to make a reservation in advance. Good morning and welcome to Clearwater Nature Center. My name is Stephanie. I'm one of the park naturalists here, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about our center, our park, and the animals that live within our nature center. We have a collection of almost 35 animals, ranging from insects all the way up to birds of prey. So we have a large variety of animals for you to see today. During this presentation, I'm going to take some time to show you some of them up close. And we're going to start today with an insect. So this little critter is an insect. And how can I tell he's an insect? Because all insects have some common features. One of them is that they have 3 body parts. They have a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. Another feature of insects is that they have 6 legs. And so if you're able to see and count, you'll see that he has 6 total legs on the underside of his body. This insect is not a native insect, and the reason we use him, and he's from Madagascar. He's a Madagascar hissing cockroach. And the reason we use him is because he doesn't bite, he doesn't sting. He's big enough that you can see all his features. And so he's a really good representation of what an insect is. Our native insects might be too small, they might bite, they might sting. They might not hold still long enough for us to show you. So that's why we like to show you this particular insect. He has some other features that are very interesting. We, of course, have boys and girls. We have males and females. And the way you can tell this one is a male is he's got what we call horns. And so he's got 2 bumps right below his head. And that's how we can tell that he is a male. You'll also hear that he's making this hissing noise. Part of his name is Madagascar hissing cockroach. And he's doing that by pushing air through his abdomen. It's not coming out of his mouth at all. It's coming out of the lower part of his body. And he's doing that, he will do that if he's scared. He might be scared of me because I'm so much bigger than him and I'm holding him in place. But they also do that when they're fighting. The boys will fight to get girlfriends. And so if the 2 boys are fighting, they might make that noise. And sometimes they will just make that noise if they're just defending their territory. So that is our insect for today. Remember, a head, a thorax, and an abdomen, and 6 legs make him an insect. Here's another animal that lives here at our nature center, and he is a native animal. He's native to the state of Maryland and native to our park. And if you would go for a hike out in the woods here, there's a good chance that you would see this animal out walking in the woods. He is a turtle. He is an eastern box turtle, and very common around here. They do go into the water, but they spend most of their time on land, and so that's why you would see him in the moist woodland area. Why is he called an eastern box turtle? It's because if he gets really scared, he can actually completely close his shell like a box. And so if he were really scared, he will close up tight, and his whole shell will close up so that a predator can't get in and eat his, or bite his head or his legs or his tail. And so that's why he's called an eastern box turtle. They come in a little bit of variety of color. They may be yellowish, or they may be orange, or even almost reddish. And you can tell the boys from the girls because the boys have red eyes and the girls have yellowish eyes. They eat vegetables, so they're vegetarians. They're herbivores. They eat mushrooms and plants and fruits that they find out in the woods. And they're very good diggers. They also like to dig in the dirt and eat worms and other insects. So they're actually more of an omnivore. They'll eat a little bit of everything. They eat a lot of plants, but they will eat animals too. So that's really called an omnivore. And that's our eastern box turtle.
Good morning, friends. My name is Talia. I, too, am a park naturalist here at Clearwater Nature Center. Today, we're going to show you some of our animal ambassadors that we have here at the center. Our animal ambassadors are not only ambassadors, but they are also our co-workers. We work hand in hand with our animals to educate you about the environment and habitats. So, our first animal is a reptile. So here we have an Australian bearded dragon. These guys are not native, hence the name Australian bearded dragon. So Australian bearded dragons are from Australia. They are very common in the pet trade. So if you ever visit Petco or PetSmart, you might see some of his family members. Australian bearded dragons are considered reptiles. Why? Because they have scales and they are considered cold-blooded. Australian bearded dragons were discovered. The first one was discovered on a rock, and as he was sitting on the rock, there was a heat wave going by, and the gentleman that discovered him assumed or thought that the bearded dragon was blowing fire, like dragons. But they are not dragons. They are lizards. They are considered lizards like other reptiles. Australian bearded dragons are very, very interesting creatures. So one fun fact about Australian bearded dragons is that they have not one, not two, but they have 3 eyes. Can you believe it? They have 3 eyes. Now, I know you can see each eye on the side of his head, but he also has a third very microscopic eye on the top of his head. Now, this eye can't see like I see you or you see me, but it's used to detect shadows or anything that is above the bearded dragon. So if there's a predator chasing him or flying above him, he's going to use that third eye as a sensor to see a shadow or a figure hovering above him. So if you all want to try to see how his eye works, you can look up at the light, wherever you have a light in the room, and you're going to close your eyes. Once you close your eyes, you're going to take your hand and wave it in front of your face. If you can see a shadow, that's exactly how his third eye works. Now, as I said again, bearded dragons are very popular in the pet trade. As you can see, he likes to cuddle. They are very docile animals, which means they're very calm, cool. They like to get cuddly. They all have their own personalities, and they are just a very wonderful animal to have as a pet. So here we have a gray corn snake. Gray corn snakes, any corn snakes, are native to the eastern part of Maryland, and native means that they live here with us. These guys are called corn snakes because one of the first people to discover a corn snake actually saw one in his cornfield. Now, the farmer assumed that the snake was eating the corn, but do we think that snakes eat corn? No, snakes don't eat corn. Snakes are meat eaters. So the snake that was in the cornfield was probably eating the mice that were eating the corn. Now, corn snakes are not venomous. Corn snakes are constrictors. And what constrictors do is they take their bodies and they wrap them tightly around their prey and kind of suffocate them. Corn snakes can only eat something that is as large as the widest part of his body. So he can't eat me, but he can eat something, a rodent or another small animal that is about the width of the largest part of his body, which is about right here. Gray corn snakes, red corn snakes, all kinds of corn snakes. They are very popular in the pet trade. They're actually a very good beginner snake. If you want to have a snake as pets, you can see these guys at a pet store, at your local pet store as well, because they are very popular as a beginner snake, because they are very, very docile, and a lot of people like to have these guys as pets. As you can see, he's very, very interested. Snakes use their tongues to investigate. They don't have noses, so they kind of sense or smell things with their tongues. So right now he's trying to get a feel of what's going on here in the room. He wants to smell the environment to see what is happening. And he is also wrapped up in my microphone. Hello again, friends. Let's take a look into our exhibit room and explore some more of our animal ambassadors. Let's go. Okay, coming into our exhibit room, you'll get to explore many of our other animals here at the Nature Center, and you get to see them in their habitats here at the Nature Center. A big part of our job is to take care of these animals. So every day when we, as the naturalists, come in, we do a daily inspection of all of our animals to make sure that they look well and that they feel well. We feed them, we give them fresh water every day, and we make sure that their cages are clean for our visitors to see. Here we have another corn snake. This is our red corn snake. Here's the bearded dragon that we met earlier today. Down here, we have a rose hair tarantula, and maybe a little later you guys can get to see them a little closer. We have another eastern rat snake right here. This is a black rat snake. Here's our gray corn snake that we met earlier today. And if you keep coming with me, we can explore some more of our animal ambassadors. Here is another eastern black rat snake. He's about 6 feet long. He's really, really big. Now, black rat snakes are native to the eastern part of Maryland, as we discussed earlier. And what we mean by native is that they come from here. They live here in Maryland with us. These guys are not venomous. They are constrictors, which means that they wrap themselves around their prey until their prey stops breathing, and then they're going to eat their prey. So these snakes don't have venom. Again, they are constrictors. Over here we have another bearded dragon. We call him Bernardo. Down here we have another morph of a bearded dragon. As you can see, all of our bearded dragons look a little different in color or pattern. If you can see this guy right here, he is trying to see what's going on. What are we doing today? Down here we have an albino black rat snake. So although it's still a black rat snake, it lost pigment and color, so it is albino. So she kind of looks a little pink. We call her Rosie. Over here we have our Madagascar hissing cockroach habitat, where we have lots and lots of cockroaches here. And when you all can come into the Nature Center with your family, your friends, we can explore. This is our cave area. We have lots of fun things inside of the cave for our friends to do here.
Along this side of the exhibit room, you see our mounds that show some native plants and animals on top. But if we go through this door, you'll see what it would look like underground. So this shows the layers of soil underneath our surface. And it shows what it looks like in Prince George's County, and also what you might find in those layers of soils. And we have found some of these are actual real fossils from Henson Creek. And I would like to point out some of those fossils. This one right here is called Ekphora, and it is actually the Maryland state fossil. We have some of these here. These look like snail shells, all of these, and those are turritellas or snail shells, and they're all actual fossils that we found in Henson Creek. This large one here is from a giant clam that lived here millions of years ago. We also have some scallops, and we also have a fossilized oyster shell on our wall.
Over here, we have our eastern screech owl. Now, our eastern screech owl is the smallest species of owl here that we have in the eastern part of Maryland. They look like babies, but they're not. He's only about this big, so a lot of people think that they're a baby owl, but he's actually fully grown. We've had him for a little over a year. He is a rescue rehabilitated owl that was handed over to the Nature Center because he had an injury to his eye that will not allow him to survive in the wild because he can't really see. So he's now here with us. We take care of him. We make sure that he eats every day and that he's going to live a happy life. All right, friends, so this portion of our exhibit room, we have our native tree exhibit. And this tree exhibit will show you 5 of our native trees that we have here in the DMV or the eastern part of Maryland. So our first tree is our sweet gum tree. Now, every one of our exhibit trees has an actual bark from the tree, and it has a puzzle piece that is the shape of the leaf of this tree. So this, again, is a sweet gum tree, and this is the shape of the leaf for a sweet gum tree. Next, we have our white oak tree. And as you can see the difference in the color from the sweet gum to the white oak tree. White oak trees are, again, native, and this is the shape of the white oak tree leaves. Next, we have a beech tree. Now, the beech tree, as you can see, is so much different than our other 2 trees. Beech trees are very, very smooth, and they're kind of gray in color. And this is the shape of our beech trees leaves. Very, very smooth, very beautiful tree. Next, we have our tulip popular tree. And as you can see the difference between the beech and the tulip popular, the barks are much different. This bark is a lot more rougher and more ridges in it. And this is the shape of the tulip popular tree. Tulip popular tree leaves get extremely big. They get very, very big. Sometimes it's bigger than my head. I've seen these leaves. And lastly, we have our sycamore tree. Sycamores are also very smooth, not as smooth as the beech tree, but they are very smooth, unlike the tulip popular or the white oak tree. And this is the shape of our sycamore leaf. And I know you all heard all of this noise my friend was making here. This is our American crow. Now, this crow is so smart. Crows are actually listed as one of the top 10 smartest animals in the world. Crows are highly intelligent. He can actually make several different vocal sounds. He not only crows, but he barks like a dog. He says, "Oh, wow," and he growls like a wolf. So crows are very, very smart. They're very intelligent animals. As you can see, he has a lot of toys and activities in his cage because they're kind of like 2-year-olds. So as you can see, he's very, very active right now. He's trying to see what's going on. He likes attention, and he is one of our animal ambassadors, our American crow. Over here we have our turtle tank. These are diamondback terrapins. Now, terrapins are the state of Maryland's turtle. They are very, very special creatures. They are named after a diamond because of the scutes on the back of their shells are kind of like a diamond shape. So we have a light colored terrapin and we also have a dark colored terrapin. And right now our dark terrapin is basking, which means we have him out in a basking pen so he can get heat and kind of a sense of sunlight. And it's very healthy and it helps them with their shells. Over here we have our gray tree frog and he likes to hide. So I'm not sure if you will be able to see him. He might be in one of his little hideaways or he might be even under the dirt. But this is the gray gray tree frog habitat. In this tank here, we have an eastern painted turtle. Now they get their name painted turtle is because all of the little colorful spots that they have on the back of their shells. That's why they're called painted turtles. And on their faces, they come in a variety of different colors. Next, in our next tank, we have a mud turtle. And he is in the back hiding, so we can't see him that good right now, but this is our mud turtle. In this tank here, we have our eastern musk turtle. Now, musk turtles and mud turtles are very, very similar. They are often mistaken for each other, but they are two different species. They do look very, very similar, but they're two different turtles. So again, we have the musk turtle and we have the mud turtle. And lastly, for our aquatic turtles, we have a spotted turtle, and they get their names from the little spots that they have on their shells. And again, their spots are all types of colors, a variation and variety of different colors if you ever see them in the wild. Now here, this habitat is our ball python. And I'm actually going to open this up so we can get a closer look. Okay, so we have our ball python. Ball pythons are not native to the eastern part of Maryland. They're actually from the sub-Saharan part of Africa, where it's very warm and moist. But they are another snake that is very popular in the pet trade. Ball pythons are very docile, very good to have as pets because they're very, very calm snakes. And down here we have Maggie, which is another eastern box turtle. You met one of our box turtles earlier, but we have 3 of them. So this is Maggie, this is our female, and she's our only female box turtle. Over here, we have 2 more eastern box turtle habitats. This is our friend that we met in our animal show. And here we have another male eastern box turtle. And that's all for our exhibit room, but we do have some other animals in and around the Nature Center. And we also have an aviary at the back of the Nature Center where we keep our birds of prey.
This is our bird of prey exhibit. We have 6 birds out here for you to come up and see close up. If you were out in nature, you would probably never get this close to these birds because they see us as predators and they're afraid of us. And if you tried to get close to them, they would fly away. These birds are here because they've been injured previously. And they were injured bad enough that they could get vet care and recover, but not recover well enough to survive out in the wild. Our bald eagle has a wing that's missing, so he can't fly. Several of our birds have wings that were injured that they healed, but they still can't fly well enough to hunt for food or to get away from another predator. And so because of those various injuries, they live here and we take care of them. The life expectancy is usually longer in captivity. For example, the bald eagle in nature might live 30 years, and in captivity they can live 40 to 50 years. And the reason is that we provide them with a steady, healthy diet of food daily. They get vet care once a year, they get a vet visit, and we also provide medication for them, and we provide water for them, and we provide this shelter so that predators can't get to them. Casca Lake provides perfect habitat for the beaver, and so we do have several beaver that live in this area. And if you look down here, you see this big pile of sticks. How do I know it's not just a big random pile of sticks? Well, if we pick up some of the sticks and look at them, you can actually see the teeth marks where a beaver has chewed this tree. It's probably standing up and he chewed it and knocked it down, and they chewed up some more pieces and made short sticks. And he probably sat there and ate all the bark off, and then he probably went up and chewed and ate the leaves off the tree to fill his belly. And then he drug all these sticks down here to build his lodge. So the lodge is usually, you just see all the sticks, but underneath it is some mud, and then down below is a hollow cavity. Unfortunately, this lodge has somehow been torn up and there's a hole in it now. So you can kind of see it's a big open cavity where they go for warmth and they go to have their babies and to raise their young. Typically, there's not an opening here. Typically, a beaver will go from the water, he'll dive underwater and pop up inside the lodge from the water side. And that way he's protected. That water entrance protects them from a fox being able to get in and to harm them. So here we are in the middle of the woods in Casca Regional Park, and in all this beautiful lush greenery, we sometimes find that we have plants that don't really belong here. And some of these plants that we call invasive species come from other places, they take root, they grow really well, and they end up choking off our native plants. They may still provide a beautiful scene, but typically those invasive plants don't provide food for the native wildlife. And they kill the plants that are the food for the native wildlife. So one of our projects here at the park is to remove those invasive plants. One species in particular is this oriental bittersweet, which came from Asia. A lot of these, you wonder like, well, how did this plant get all the way here from Asia? Back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, a lot of plants, they might cut the leafy material and put it as packing material when they shipped goods across the ocean. And so when that packing material came across with those goods and, for example, dishes were unpacked, the seeds got out and got spread around people's yards or homes or in their area where they lived and their farms, and they took root and they grow really well. We have the same type of habitat, same type of weather, and same type of soil, and so they just take off. So this one is called Oriental Bittersweet. It will go around and choke the tree. It will climb up to the very top of the tree and shade the leaves. And that's how it will kill the tree, is it'll choke it off so that it can't get sunlight and make its own food. So what we like to do with these is we try to reach up as far as we can reach and cut it. And then usually we will try to chase it down to the ground and pull the roots out of the ground. But what we really try to do is just try to get it so it's not going up the tree and choking off the upper leaves of the tree. So this is what Oriental Bittersweet looks like. It's got kind of a rounded shaped leaf, and it's got this tan bark that's very bumpy. On the forest floor, we have another invasive plant, and this one is called Japanese stiltgrass. It also came from Asia, but it attacks plants in a different way. It looks like a tall grass growing, and it gets bigger and fluffier than everything around it. And so again, it covers the plants and chokes the sunlight off from them, so they cannot survive. One way to identify Japanese stiltgrass is if you're not sure it's the right plant, if you just gently pull it up, the roots will come off in your hand. So it pulls up very easily. Roots and all just come right up in your hand. Thank you for joining us today at Clearwater Nature Center in Casca Regional Park.